It's drummed into your head over and over that you have to build relationships in real estate. It's all about building those relationships, connecting with your sphere. But the truth is, a lot of agents don't do that, or they don't do it consistently. Well, the agent I talked to today is a National Association of Realtors 30 under 30, Rylie Schroeder. She is the team lead of Schroeder and Company Real Estate of Compass. And she's based in Houston, but also has a practice in Austin. And she built her whole company or her whole team around a 36 touch system. And she has found extreme success with that. We talk a lot about getting started in real estate. She started in 2019 on a team, and what she learned through a failure of a team as well, because her second venture was starting a team with two partners that did not align with her vision. She had some great advice especially for new agents coming into the business, but also for those who just need a refresher on working with your sphere. She has some great ideas for you. So enjoy the podcast. So Rylie, welcome to the RealTrending podcast. We really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and congratulations on your NAR 30 under 30. That's
Thanks.
wonderful. Yeah, exciting.
Thank you. I still don't believe it.
So I want to start, just tell me a little bit about how you got into real estate and why you chose it as a career.
Yeah, the why is for the autonomy. My mom was in sales growing up. She was in a traveling sales position, but her ability to come and have lunch with us at school or take us on trips with her, I loved the autonomy that she had. So I was always drawn to sales in that aspect. And then the financial autonomy of real estate, allowing me to be really uncapped and kind of have my success up to me. Mm-hmm. I'm just a really ambitious person like that. So from high school, I was like, yep, real estate's going to be it. So I went to college. I did the whole college thing, but mainly for the experience and not necessarily for the degree, knowing real estate was always the goal. But why something about looking at houses was fun to me. Like medical sales icked me out, any other type of sales, there was always some sort of drawback. And there was kind of a boss, and I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted all the autonomy.
Yeah.
So
that's great. I can definitely see that. I mean, I think it's a lot of why a lot of people get into real estate. I think they're making your own schedule is great, although you are somewhat on someone else's schedule just because of the nature of showing homes in that as well. So, yeah.
Oh, no, for sure. Still got to drop what I'm doing sometimes and go show a client, but that's for them. There's not someone over my head being like, you have to report to this office from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Not my thing, not good at it.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I work remotely and I love it. So, So being a 30 under 30, what are the key factors that you really contribute to your success?
Good question. I have imposter syndrome a lot of the time. So I sit here and I'm like, I don't know. What was it? It was really shocking for me and really exciting. I think a couple different things. One, my ability to kind of lead the team and grow the team in the way that I have. We grew from 3 agents to 14 agents in a year. And to me, that's my affirmation of okay, I'm doing something right. So I think they saw that. And also whenever I first started in real estate, I sold 150 homes within 2 years. Super rare. The average agent sells about 6 to 8 a year. So I think that was probably a reason that's kind of a lot of homes. And sometimes I'm like, wow, I did that. How am I alive? So I think those two things, the leadership aspect and like you mentioned, why I got into real estate, it wasn't a second career for me. It was always I was always determined to be successful with it. So I think all of those played a factor, I would think.
Okay. I want to dig into this a little bit. So 150 homes in 2 years is huge. What year did you start in real estate?
2019.
Okay. So 2020, 2021 are the 2 years that you sold that many houses?
I started selling in 2019. Okay. So from the day I got licensed, the actual, what is it? Is it calendar year? From August to August, I sold 65 homes. Okay. So from that date to whenever I ended with that team, which was right around September of 2021, I was up to 150 homes. Yeah.
Okay. So were you an individual agent, or did you join a team that you were not leading, but you were getting leads from?
I was not leading. Right. I was getting leads. So everything I did within real estate, especially starting out, was extremely intentional. The moment I knew I wanted to go into real estate, I wanted to join the number one team in the area. And the number one team in Houston at the time was hard to miss. They were being sponsored by Barbara Corcoran. They were everywhere. They had a huge market share. So I had my sights set on them from the get-go. So they had a 4-step interview process. They're the only people I applied. And it was very different from like a traditional real estate team where you're on a team, but you're still kind of your own agent. I mean, you're operating within this team. I was on an extremely low split. I did not care about any of that. I wanted what they could provide as the number one team, which was leads and training. So I think the year 2021 that I quit that team, I had talked to like over 300 buyers on the phone. So just wild the amount that they have coming in. But all that said, I was their number 2 producer. The number 1 was my mentor, which is also a really cool story. But I worked really hard to get there and to be the number 1 team's one of their top producers. So that was always really special to me, even though I was really exhausted at the end of it.
Yes, I would imagine. So in 2021, you decided to go out on your own. Did you hire some team members right away, or tell me how you built your team?
Really interesting story. So whenever I first quit that team, I actually started a different team than Schroeder & Co. with 2 others from that big team. 3 of us broke off and started a team that I ran for a year. And that was kind of like my epic fail learning moment. Going into business with them, like in hindsight's always 2020, right? But we just had no business being in business together. Great humans separately, but our vision never aligned. So it was a year of figuring that out. And for me, kind of dealing with a lot of burnout. I had equated my value as a real estate agent to the number of homes I was producing. And I didn't want to keep producing that high of a level. I wanted to like concentrate on my client experience and the branding and marketing and like the total other side of real estate that I didn't get to concentrate on for 2 years. So for a year, we kind of pushed and pulled and figured out it wasn't a fit for us, and they're still doing fine as a team together. And that's whenever I broke off and started Schroeder & Co. with my vision of, the amount you produce does not equate your value as an agent, and like really leaning into the branding and client experience side of things, which is why, in my opinion, why we've been successful so far.
Okay. And so tell me how you ramped that team up, because you said you have 14 members now, right? So you did that within what, 2 years? It was 2022? A year. Okay. So talk to me about that.
I started with a great agent in Houston and a great agent in Austin. I knew that I was going to sell in both cities, so I knew I needed boots on the ground in both at all times. And then I started a recruiting incentive for them. I really love working with both of them. So if they like someone, that's who I want to work with too. And then obviously we would talk about real estate and that person's goals, but it started with an incentive for them to be bringing in us agents. And I started recruiting on social media, kind of posting our brand pillars. A lot of teams take away your identity and take away your autonomy financially and otherwise. And that's not how I'm building the team, which I think is really special. I want to give you the bones to build your business. I want to give you what I feel like I didn't have on a team, because this industry can get really lonely, especially when you're producing a lot. So having the ability to do it with other people and still get a lot of your commission is rare. So I think just the way I was building it with the recruiting incentive and being really fair and autonomous with it, that's kind of what's attracted people. But over 50% of the girls on the team now were recruited by another agent.
Okay, great. I mean, that's a great model to have, honestly.
I'm really proud of
it.
Yeah.
And so the way you have it structured, do you buy leads from any sources, or, okay, so Talk to me
I
about that.
have. I have explored that route. I like to say like nothing's ever a no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I don't know. I always want to explore something. I never want to immediately just like, nope, not doing that. So I have explored that route. I knew from the get-go that wasn't like a brand pillar. Like I built my real estate business on leads. And whenever I quit that team in 2021, I was starting over.
Mm-hmm.
I had nothing almost to go off of. I didn't have any of those like systems and processes down with asking for business from my sphere or even like my sphere trusting me. They saw that I was producing a lot, but they didn't know that they could come to me. So I wanted to build a team that was encouraging you building your sphere business because that's what, for the longevity of the business, that's what's going to get you further. And then I also set up our commissions to where if you bring in sphere business, you're making more that way too. So I have explored buying leads. Right now we're partnered with lead sources or one or two lead sources that are just pay at
Mm-hmm.
closing, which I prefer in a commission based business. But nothing's ever a no. But right now, those are the ones that are working best.
Okay. And what are your long-term goals? Do you want to become a broker? Do you want to start your own brokerage firm, or a teamerage? Or tell me a little bit about what your ultimate goal is at this point. I know it could change.
Yeah, yeah, and it has. I don't see myself starting my own brokerage. I think that's a lot of liability
Mhm.
that my anxiety couldn't handle. I like where we're at. I like being partnered with the number one
Mhm.
brokerage, and what they provide. So I really appreciate Compass for that reason. My goal is to really like dig our heels into where we're at. We operate in Houston, Austin, and San Antonio currently. So I would love to see 10 agents in each of those cities. And then again, nothing's ever a no. I've been asked to expand to Dallas previously. So that's always kind of a question in the back of my mind. But more so just like digging in and kind of changing the way teams are structured for everyone. I mean, I network a ton too. So being able to share my experiences with other team leads in hopes that it can positively impact their agents is a huge goal of mine too. So I think just digging the roots in and building on what we have.
And so, so you focus a lot of your training around building your sphere, and building
Mhm.
relationships. So, what are some of the best practices that you're teaching your agents to do to really build that sphere? And how do you start from scratch?
Great question. And it can be really discouraging to start from
Mhm.
scratch. A lot of them are. I'm grateful to say the one agent who started with me from the beginning, her name's Samantha. She just hit her year mark and she sold over 12 homes in her first year. And that was just based on what we did together. So I feel really excited about that, seeing
Mhm.
the processes really work. But my thing has always been gift giving. That's my love
Okay.
language. And I think you need to love on your clients. So what we do is something called a 36 touch system. Keller Williams kind of coined the term, but we've just built on
Mhm.
it a little bit further. And we're just making sure our clients feel our presence, know that we want their business, in multiple different avenues: newsletters, postcards, pop buys, events, anything we can think of to ensure they're being touched or heard from, they're hearing from us at least 36 times throughout the year. That's a really, really big piece of our business and what we're starting immediately. Um, Outside of that I would say that's a long-term
Mhm.
thing and something we're never going to stop, and you should never stop. But whenever you're first starting out, I think going back to like the old school principles of conducting open houses and like really serious open houses, prepping for them really well, door knocking, etc., cold calling, door knocking in general in neighborhoods, and starting to network. I think a lot of agents don't network anymore, and we're joining Facebook groups, we're joining local events and happenings to just make friends. I'm never going to these events being like, I'm a real estate agent.
Mhm.
How can I help you? It's let's be friends. Let's follow each other on social media. I want to cheer you on. And through that process, I trust that you'll end up trusting me and coming to me for whenever you do have a real estate need. I just want to be a resource. So,
Yeah, that
does that answer your
36
question?
touch is so important. In fact, I just had a podcast with a coach, Travis Robertson, and we were talking
Okay.
about that. And I was saying I have talked to hundreds of agents. I'm in Florida, so I'm in the Orlando area, and I've been writing about real estate forever. And I have one agent who keeps in touch with me, like will send a Starbucks gift card on my birthday and I, invite me to an event or so. And that's it out of years of talking to agents.
Right.
Um,
It's wild.
and I live in a highly desirable neighborhood and have a big family. So you'd think
Yeah.
that, but they don't.
You want your business.
So,
Yeah.
so just doing that consistently can mean so much to getting business.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's 100% of my business these days, close about between 20 and 40 a year, depending on, with being a team lead, it's changing now. But my business is 100% sphere and referrals from agents and loving on the agents too in different cities. Like that's really important. So I think it goes back to, obviously there's a purpose behind it, but it goes back to just like them recognizing like, I do want your business. I care that you have a great real estate experience. And I know that's not common.
I think it's important, especially right now with all of the policy and practice changes coming down. How are you adjusting to that? Were you already doing buyer consultations? Tell me a little bit about how you've kind of restructured that initial buyer contact.
We didn't have to change a lot, to be honest with you. Buyer consults are always something we've done and encouraged our agents to do. It's always something I've done since starting at my first team. I was only a buyer's agent. So I got very used to that practice. And so that's something I train my people on as well. Kind of goes back to the client experience of setting the right expectations. So without a buyer consult, I don't think we are giving them a great experience. They don't know what to expect. They don't know any of these terms. This is a huge financial transaction. A lot of people think, whenever you push someone towards a lender and like, hey, you got to get pre-approved first, it's pushy. But if you explain the why behind it and why that's important, especially in Houston where it's still really competitive, without a pre-approval, we can't move on that house anyways. I don't want to get your hopes up. So it's always been about setting the right expectations. So yeah, we've always done a buyer consult. We've always had really intense systems and like checklists on the back end to, again, ensure they're prepared for each part of the process, like including inspection. They get an example inspection report every time, so they know kind of what they're expecting out of the inspection, and that limits terminations as well. The one thing we've kind of had to adjust to is the buyer rep getting signed prior to the first showing.
Yeah.
Generally, that we send that whenever we're sending offer docs or after the first showing, but it doesn't stress any of us out at all. They did just come out with the new forms, and there's like a one pager, which is way less intimidating. So I think that'll go over really well, but not something I would say we stress about, because it's always been about just setting the right expectations and prepping them for a successful experience.
Yeah, that is so important. And I want to talk about some of your marketing best practices. Obviously, you talk to me, you do a lot of events, and that, like you said, with the 36 touch, you're doing a lot of different marketing touches. I also know you're active on social media. You were on TikTok. You said you're not really doing that anymore. So first, I want to know, why did you change from TikTok to Instagram Reels?
Yeah. TikTok is really discouraging. I hear their algorithms changing, so I might try again. But for so long, it was posting multiple times a day, every day. And I have the content to post, but whenever you're spending so much time on it and you're getting 200 views, it's like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
It was discouraging. Probably not my best idea. We have someone on the team. Her name's JL, and she's gotten a ton of luxury leads from TikTok and doing really well with it. And she hasn't necessarily gone viral. So the proof's in the pudding. Like, it's working. She's posting, but I got discouraged. I was like, and I'm an all or nothing person. So I was like, all right, Instagram Reels it is. And I know what to do on Instagram. I know how Instagram's algorithm works. So I just dove head first with that. And the views were there, which was reaffirming to me that I was spending my time in the right place. As soon as I started posting consistently on Instagram is when my sphere business really started picking up. I was clearly staying top of mind. So again, in my mind, all right, this is working. I'm going to dig further here.
And what type of posts do you find work the best for you?
It's changed. Whenever I first started posting really informative reels, they were performing really, really well, and they dropped off really quickly after, I don't know, maybe almost a year. It was boring, I guess. So then I kind of started transitioning to more not in this lifestyle stuff, where it's informative but funner to watch, or even like funny reels that show my personality, which I feel like was probably lacking from the informative ones. So leaning into that. And then here lately, I'm kind of trying to test out targeting agents rather than clients, since I am a team lead, kind of like building based on those systems, and those have performed really well so far too. So I think as long as I'm like showing my personality and being authentic, they generally do pretty well. The ones that don't do well for me are like home tours.
Yeah.
I know it works for a lot of people, but that has never performed well on my page.
Yeah, I have to say I wouldn't watch a home tour on. I mean, I like the shorter, more fun videos as well. Like I'll sit and watch them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, who would you want to work with? Like, would you rather see someone who's posting home tours all the time? And that works for some people, and that's fine. Like whatever works. But I want to see someone's personality. So I'm just kind of putting myself in their shoes and going based on that, trying to make someone laugh.
Yeah, especially if they post something that like I'm also interested in and it's not related to real estate at all, but I might pay attention more and say, "Oh, she seems like of someone like me. I can give her a call." Yeah.
We like the same things, or I'm like telling you about a huge foodie. So like doing restaurant reviews local to Houston or Austin and things like that do really well.
Yeah.
And just kind of aligning yourself more as the community expert, not necessarily the real estate expert.
Yeah.
So that's the new kind of goal.
So give me some of the, tips that you have for real estate agents just starting out. Like, do you recommend they join a team? You feel like that really worked for you? And also like, why did you choose the company you chose? Were you always was the other team with Compass as well, or did you move to Compass from a different company?
No, they were with Keller Williams. I've also been with Coldwell very briefly.
Okay.
Compass, but I do recommend new agents start out on a team. This industry is very like throw you to the wolves, and if you make it, you make it. And I think that's why so many people don't make it. Yeah. Beyond the fact that it just gets extremely lonely and discouraging, you just don't have the resources because you don't know where to look. And at this point, having trained a couple of new agents, there's a lot of questions. Like you just don't know what to say. And frankly, if you care about your clients, you need to have at least a mentor training you on the process so that your clients are truly protected. So I always suggest joining a team. I think personally, this is just my opinion, but teams are kind of the future of real estate because teams can accomplish so much more than just one agent can. Having all those brains together. I mean, our group text is probably blowing up right now with just the amount of questions, and the camaraderie with that is, I think, really important. So I would always suggest joining a team. Concentrate less on what your split will be and how it will get you where you want to go. Like think long-term goal. You can always go negotiate a better split once you have some experience under your belt. Initially, I just don't, 40% of 10 transactions is a lot better than 80% of one.
Yeah.
So, definitely joining a team. I joined the team I did because they were the number one, and I knew that was going to come with the leads and the training. So I had my sights set on them. It was not all it was chalked up to be, but the leads were there. And I found my mentor, who's now a business partner of mine. So everything works out for a reason, but I would have joined a team without a doubt. And they were with Keller Williams. They were Keller Williams' number one team. They might still be Keller Williams' number one team. So they're very successful, and they've built a really successful business in a very different way, very unique way. And I learned a lot. I'm grateful for it. Even though we're not together anymore, I'm glad I did what I did for sure.
Yeah. And then, a lot of brokers listen to this podcast as well. What were the things from all of the companies you've been with that you really felt your brokers did really well to get you situated for business?
So unfortunately, I don't feel like until Compass, I was with a broker that did a lot for their agents really well. On the team I was on, while it was a team, there was a lot of the blame game, a lot of unprofitable months, and the agents who were producing 8 units a month were being blamed for it. It's like, I'm not taking any money from you, like it was so crazy. So I always felt a lot of blame. I did not feel heard. Their technology, Keller Williams technology, was slow on the back end as we were kind of transitioning. I think it was Command that we were transitioning to. And so you always had to have a lot of systems pulled up to try to figure out how to do your job on the back end, the paperwork, everything like that. What Compass does really well is their technology, and they make you feel heard. Whenever I first joined Compass, I got a call from Robert Refkin himself congratulating me. I know many other agents who have gotten that. Our brokers locally will send out emails once a week congratulating people on the closings they have. So little things like that, just making your agents feel seen, even though it's a really huge brokerage. You're like, did I really just get this email from Robert Refkin congratulating me? Like that feels good. But also they have a forum where any suggestions around technology or processes or whatever it is, you can make those suggestions. And the more like thumbs up they get, they're more likely to implement those suggestions. So just a lot of avenues to like continue to like step up. And as I've been with Compass over the past 2 years, they've implemented so many things that have come from other agents of like, hey, this system would work better if you had this option or whatever it is. So Compass has been really, really great about just like making us feel heard and seen and providing us what we really need to do our business really efficiently. Their technology is just top notch.
Yeah, it's funny. We did kind of an investigative report on Compass's technology and interviewed Brooke Hahn, I believe, did it. Interviewed a ton of agents, and they all said the same thing as you. They were very happy with the Compass technology. So
I think and I have run into people who do leave Compass, stuff like that. I think the people who are unhappy with Compass as a brokerage are not utilizing the technology correctly. Obviously, we take a split and we're paying for that technology. So you should be utilizing it. Otherwise, go to an EXP or somewhere with a flat fee where you don't have access to that if you don't feel like you need it. But especially for new agents, it is invaluable and it brings me business monthly and I don't have to do anything. So it's remarkable.
That's
great.
I
love their tech.
So my last question is just like, what is next for you? We talked a little bit about like what's next for your team, but you specifically, what are you looking to accomplish? It's kind of been a weird market, low inventory. That's picking up a little bit, but not crazy. A lot of things up in the air right now. What are you planning to do to remain successful?
What's worked for us is digging into our sphere and loving on our sphere. So continuing to do that. But I'm in a weird position in my career where I feel like I'm almost stepping out of production just a little bit. I never want to fully do that because I don't have a team structure that supports paying my bills. I'm giving a lot back to the agents, but stepping out of production and really honing in on my role as the team lead and what that looks like and kind of figuring out which parts of it I am really good at, which I think is the branding and the marketing and showing up for the agents, and the parts that I probably don't need to be doing and I need to be leveraging. So trying to identify my role more as a team lead and feel really good. I mean, it only has been a year and a couple months. Yeah. So I feel like the world is my oyster right now, especially with the agents who have chosen to do it with me. I'm really excited, but I think that our goal as a team is like to continue like to rank on RealTrends and to rank on the local business journals and places like that to get our name out there. We're doing a lot of PR stuff, or I'm doing a lot of PR stuff. So I'm excited to like continue to network and build that business. I would love to make a greater impact for team leads as a whole and offer different perspectives on how you can build your team. So I look forward to that piece of it and continuing to network and find my people within the industry of like team leads and helping other people identify their role as a team leader too.
Yeah. Ironically, I think you have figured it out. It's all about relationships in real estate. And, some real estate agents don't figure it out as quickly as you have. And, like you said, it's the same with the brokers. It's their relationship with their agents and making them feel wanted. And it could be something very small. Just a quick phone call, a quick email. It doesn't have to be sending you a dozen roses or something, a big gesture. So, yeah.
And that goes back to my relationship with my agents as well. And I feel really grateful. And a lot of the feedback I've gotten is like, you just seem natural at this. And again, imposter syndrome over here, but I'm like, okay, well, let me just keep leaning into that and helping other people kind of figure out what their role is and help their families more. So I'm really excited about it. I feel imposter syndrome and really, really grateful that other agents want to do it with me.
Well, Rylie, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast. Congratulations again on your 30 under 30 and all of your success.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was nice talking to you.